Happy New Year! Hello everyone, my name is Sloan and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to be here making this video. I've been planning on doing this for over a year. This is over a year in the making and it's 2023 now. So I guess it's time to go through every single plant or plant related purchase that I made in 2022, tally it all up, see where it stands. We'll see if I'm happy with how this ends up or if I need to be cutting back in 2023. But let me set kind of the ground rules on how I calculated these. So I have two different categories, plant and planty items. Essentially the difference is I wanted to separate how much I spent on literal plants, like literal house plants that I bought, and kind of separate that from planty item purchases like dirt, pots, all the random crap we end up buying for plants. We'll get into it. So I have those two separated. So I'll have the totals for each of those categories and the total for the full year, absolutely everything. I didn't include any outdoor landscaping or gardening items. This is full only houseplant essentials. It's kind of another little caveat. And the application or website that I use to track all of this is EveryDollar. This isn't sponsored or anything. I just kind of wanted to share that's the budgeting app that I use for just real life. And I've been really enjoying it. And I really like the free version, which is 10 out of 10. I don't want to pay for it. I did get the free trial just so I could show you guys one graph showing kind of the plant stuff. They create graphs for you, which is really cool. So you'll see that at the end. But that's all, I think, as far as the caveats. Now we can just get into it. So let's go. We're going to kick it off with the first plant that I bought in January was a pineapple plant for $10. And I bought this at the grocery store when I was there. I was so excited about it. My mom had one and my mom still has one and I loved hers, but unfortunately I can't show you this plant because I promptly killed it. Not promptly, I think it died like last month. So it lasted 11 months, but she is no longer with us. The next thing that I bought in January 2022 was just Systemic, which just looks like this. I bought it on Amazon and this is the brand that I bought this year. I really struggled with fungus gnats and tried everything under the sun to get rid of them, and this was the only thing that works. And I don't love using this. It's a chemical to kill that. I just don't love it. So I'm hoping to find a more natural solution in 2023. I've heard of a more natural systemic that uses rosemary, so I'm hoping to try that out in 2023, but I spent $10.26 on the Systemic. All right, here is what I think this was my most expensive plant of 2022. I'm not sure, but here she is, my Philodendron Gloriosum that I bought for $125. I love this plant so much, and she's grown so much. I'll pop up a picture of what she looked like when I bought her. She's gotten so much bigger, 100% worth the purchase. The next plant that I bought in 2022, which was actually at the same time that I bought the Philodendron Gloriosum, was an Alocasia Hilo Beauty, which is unfortunately also no longer with us. My IKEA greenhouse cabinet got spider mites pretty early on into having it, and the Alocasia Hilo Beauty just didn't make it. And my final planty purchase of January was just garden tape from Amazon for $5.98. So for January, that puts us at $160 for plant purchases and $16.24 for planty purchases, which puts us at a total of $176.24. Now we're on to February. So I only bought 3 things in February, which I think is pretty good. The first one was a $40 plant pot. I absolutely love this plant pot. I bought it for my Philodendron Gloriosum to crawl in, and then my Gloriosum quickly outgrew it, so it didn't last very long, but I love this pot, definitely worth the $40. And then the other 2 items that I purchased in February, they were both plants. The first was this variegated peace lily for $21. She's a little thirsty, but this is a great plant. I could have multiple variegated peace lilies in my house. I should maybe split this one up. And the next plant, which was $96.30, was this Syngonium Pink Splash, which is growing a little crazy, but I keep it in a corner so it doesn't normally flop like this. And I love this one. I've given multiple cuttings of this one to multiple friends. It's kind of fun to buy bigger plants because it's much easier to do that. So yeah, this was a great purchase. So our total for February was just slightly less than January. It puts us at $117.30 for plant purchases and only $40 for planty items. Adding that together, I spent a total of $157.30 on plant-related things in February. March was a big month, so this is going to be fun. So kicking us off with some planty items, I spent $6.39 on tea bags and sticky traps. So I was still having issues with fungus gnats at this time, and I was using the tea bags to make mosquito bit tea. Mosquito bits supposedly kill fungus gnats. I'm sure they do. I didn't have the best results with them. And the sticky traps were for killing the fungus gnats. So I bought both of those on Amazon. And then next I bought a pot at Target for $20. Some of my notes with these, I don't quite know what they're referring to. I think I know what pot this is though. I'm pretty sure it's this pot which my bird of paradise is in, and I like this pot. So speaking of my notes being kind of vague, the next line is plants that I bought at Renovation Jungle, and I didn't put what they were, but I spent $66.31. I'm pretty sure I filmed a plant shopping video on this day, but I don't know. I'm not going to go back and watch it to figure out what plants they were, but I'm pretty sure one of them was this variegated string of pearls, which is still doing quite well. I should probably give it some water after this. And actually, this isn't a pot that I made myself, so I'm pretty proud of this pot, unrelated, but I threw this and glazed it all myself, and it looks so cute in here. The next item that I bought was, I think, from Art Terrarium. And if you're hearing me say names of these plant shops and you're like, what are these places? These are all plant shops that are local to me, and I've filmed plant shopping videos, likely multiple, at all of these. So if you're curious to see what kind of plants each of these has, what the different costs are like for each, definitely check out my playlist of all of my plant shopping videos. Anyway, the next item that I bought was a planty item for $18.18, and it's Super Thrive, which is a type of plant food, plant fertilizer, and I used it all up fairly quickly. I really, really liked it actually. So I would totally rebuy that, except I wish it was a little bit cheaper because I went through it very quickly for the amount of plants that I have, but it was a great purchase. The next items that I bought in March were a plant pot and a squeeze bottle. I have no clue what plant pot that is referring to, so who knows? But for both of these, I spent $26.71. And the squeeze bottle is just for like in putting water on the moss poles if you have a plant on a moss pole. So I thought that it would be really, really handy, but I rarely ever use it. So I don't know, but I've kept it. It'll be nice to have it if I ever keep up with watering my moss poles. Then I spent $20 on plant trays. I don't know exactly what this is referring to. Probably there was one, I remember I went to Target and I bought a bunch of like little plant trays or little plates to put plants on top of. I'm assuming that's what that's referring to. So remember how I said March was a big month? So March was the month that I bought my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. So I spent quite a lot on the cabinet itself and a few other items. So the next item that I purchased was Barina grow lights, which aren't cheap as far as grow lights go, but I knew that they would be really high quality. And I spent $48.14 on those. And the next item that I bought in March was my actual IKEA Fabricore cabinet. I spent $100 on it. I had to drive about 45 minutes away to go pick it up, but it was worth every penny. I got a Fabricore. And the last planty thing that I bought in March was $27 spent on Super Moss, which I think that's in my basement somewhere. Essentially, it's moss that goes on the outside of a kokedama ball. And I was planning on making kokedama balls with my grandma and my mom, and it just hasn't happened yet. I was also planning on making a tutorial on YouTube on how to make them. It just hasn't happened yet, but I did buy the moss in March. It's still sitting in the bag in my basement, but at least I have it. So it's definitely a huge uptick in total spend in March. So I spent $66.31 on plants alone in March, and then $270.32 on planty items in March, which puts us at a total of $336.63 in March. Hooray. That was a big month, but I can use my IKEA cabinet for years to come, and that was obviously a huge percentage of total spend that month, so it's fine. So in April, I spent a little bit less, I think because I knew that I spent so much in March. The first thing I got were little magnets for actually hanging up the Barina lights in the greenhouse. I bought these on Amazon. They're really cool. It means that the lights are hung with like magnets on the bottom of the top and then on the top of the cabinet, and they're super strong magnets, so like the lights are really stuck on there is what I'm trying to say essentially, because the last thing you want is your grow lights falling on top of your expensive plants that you probably keep in your greenhouse. So those magnets for $22.77 really keep those lights locked in super, super well. Next, I spent $20 on pots at Menards. I'm not sure what pots these are. Also, if you don't know what Menards is, it's a Midwest big box store, kind of like Lowe's or Home Depot, but $20 on pots, so that's fine. Then I spent $28.88 on a Calathea White Fusion from Art Terrarium, and this is the plant that got spider mites in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet and ended up killing a lot of my plants. So rip, but Calathea White Fusions are just, they're known to be very difficult plants, and I thought I was doing this great thing by putting it in my greenhouse cabinet because it would have lots of humidity, but it contaminated all of my other plants when it did get spider mites, so it was just kind of rough. Then in April, I spent $20 on another pot from Target. No clue what this is referring to. So again, cheaper month for April, $28.88 total for plants and $62.77 for planty items, which puts us at a total of $91.65 for April. Moving right along, let's check out what I bought in May. So the first thing I have in May is $15 on pots. Not sure where that's from, but I bought a lot of pots this year. Then I spent $61.38 on soil. I use Fox Farm soil as a base for my soil mix, and it's kind of expensive, so that's kind of rough. Then I bought pots from Jenkins Nursery, and I spent $6.28 on that. On them, I bought multiple, which is kind of a good deal, really. This is what it looks like. It's a super cute pot. It kind of matches the poppy one that I got earlier this year, so I love it, and I have this lipstick plant in it. Then I spent $25 on plant pots from somewhere. Then I spent $10.70 on this variegated Maranta from Botanically Beautiful Plants, which is a local grower, I guess is how I'll put it, but she does send her plants through the mail. I'll put her website down below. But anyway, I don't think this one has put out a single leaf since I bought it. I think I would have been better off buying a big basket of variegated Maranta, but this was the first time that I had seen a variegated Maranta in real life, like for sale. So I was a little excited and I bought it. So then I spent $90.95 on this Philodendron White Princess, which has since put out 2 leaves. It's working on a 3rd. And this one, while I don't regret buying it, at the time, this was a very good price, but it was a cutting, not an established plant. Unfortunately, white princesses started showing up a lot more in like just plant shops around here for a lot cheaper. And so you never know when it comes to plants, where like this was a wish list plant of mine. I hadn't really seen them for sale in person until I saw it that day, and I bought it, and I don't regret it because she's still looking beautiful. I still love this plant, but financially it would have been better to wait, but you can't time the plant market very easily, so it's fine. But this is one that definitely, had I been able to see the future, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. And that's it for May. So let's take a look at our totals. So for May, I spent a total of $101.65 on plants, and then $107.66 on planty items. That puts our total cost for May at $209.31. So that's more than April, not quite as much as March. All right, now let's check out June. So the first thing that I bought in June were shelves for my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. I really wanted corner triangular shelves, and those were $119.15 on Etsy. And I don't regret purchasing these at all, but it is kind of painful that they actually cost more than the entire cabinet did. But I bought the cabinet secondhand, so that's part of the reason why the shelves were more. And yeah, they look really cool, so no regrets. Then I spent $26 on a Coco Coir moss bowl from Amazon. Next, I spent $9.59 on another thing of systemic. Then I spent $3.39 on orchid bark. I use orchid bark to mix in with my soil mix, kind of with the Fox Farms that I mentioned earlier. Next, I bought this Caladium lindenii or Xanthosoma for $20 from Lowe's, and this was an impulse purchase. I didn't even think I liked this plant until I saw it in person. I think this is such a fun prehistoric looking plant and was totally worth the $20. Next, I spent $42.98 on long pots, is how I wrote it in my notes or in my budgeting app. Long pots and orchid spray. So long pots is referring to this pot that my Gloriosum is currently in. I also bought one that's even bigger than this one, which I already need to move my Gloriosum into. I think the issue is, where the heck am I going to put a pot that's longer than that one? Like, that's already huge. So I don't know what I'm going to do with my Gloriosum. But anyway, I bought 2 long pots and then orchid spray. This is what orchid spray looks like. A lot of people use it for their Hoyas as a foliar spray. So basically you spray the leaves with it and it acts as a fertilizer. So that's what I've been using it for. My Hoyas have been growing so well. I don't know if it's because of the orchid spray. I don't know if it's because of my environment or something else, but I don't know. They've been growing really well, so I'll probably keep using it. Some added things to your plant routine are just fun, and this is one of them. It's kind of fun to spray your plants with it, so I'll keep using it even just for that reason. Next, at Ted Lair, I spent $15 on a little 2-inch pitcher plant, which is upstairs in my greenhouse cabinet, and it's a little crispy, but it's still alive. And then also a lithops. So this is what my lithops looks like. It has since split, which is really cool. Next, I bought this little copper trellis for $14.93, and I have my Bambino fiddle leaf fig in it right now, which is kind of silly, but it was kind of leaning, so it's in here, even though you can't even see it. It's such a cute trellis. I should put it on something where it'll actually be visible. And that's it for June. So for June, that puts us at $35 spent on plants and $216.04 spent on planty items, which is a total of $251.04, which is a little bit higher than the prior month, but again, not as high as March. And now we're about halfway through, on to July. So in July, I spent $40 on liquid dirt, which I ordered on Amazon, and I haven't even used it. This is another plant food fertilizer. At some point I'll use it, probably this spring. I'll give it a try. Then I spent $21.39 on a fan for my IKEA cabinet. I got this cute little blue turquoise fan. It's really important to have air circulation with your cabinet, and so I knew I needed something that would be low maintenance to get the air moving, and I wanted it to be cute, so this little blue one is perfect. And then I spent $28.88 on a smart plug for my IKEA cabinet as well, and basically this I just set up so it runs at different times. So the lights turn on, I don't remember what time. I leave the lights on for 12 hours a day, and then I leave the fan on for 14 hours a day, so an hour before and an hour after the lights turn off. Then I spent $19.25 on some more Fox Farms soil for my plants. So I didn't buy a single plant in July. So my total for planty items and my overall total was $109.52. The first thing that I bought in, I almost said July, what month are we looking at now? August, was a $5 Syngonium mojito from the plant dealer. And then I spent $10 on terracotta pots. This month is one of the months where, not one of the months, but kind of the month that I remember being like, we're spending a lot of money on pots. So I started buying terracotta because terracotta pots are really cheap. Because then my next purchase was more terracotta pots for $11.47. Then I spent $5 on a Hoya Crimson Princess cutting. This is from Botanically Beautiful Plants, and it's still in water. Yeah, it looks fantastic. It's had roots. It's been ready to be potted up for a while, and I will, but hopefully soon. And the last thing that I purchased in moss was sphagnum moss, and I spent $38.47 on that. So this is my lowest spend month so far. I spent $10 total on plants and then $59.94 on planty items, which puts us at $69.94 total for August. All right, now for September. The first thing that I bought in September was orchid bark for $9.58. I tend to buy this from Amazon, so it's probably from Amazon. And then I spent $16.04 on an eyelash fern from Renovation Jungle. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us as well. Rip to that eyelash fern. That's the second one that I've killed, unfortunately. Then I spent $34.23 on a pot that I got from Ted Lair. What I tend to do with Ted Lair pots is I will look at them, love them, think about them for months, and then finally go back and buy it. So that's what happened with this. I saw this pot on a previous visit to Ted Lair, absolutely loved it, and I was like, I don't need to spend that much money on a pot. And then I went back and I bought it later because I loved it so much, but I think it did go down in price from when I first saw it. So sometimes patience is good. Then I spent $10.70 on this Philodendron Camposportuanum from the plant dealer. And I have to say, I'm just not loving this plant very much. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I don't know. It's kind of like a Philodendron Splendid, but not as cool, is kind of how I'm feeling about it. And it's unfortunate because saying Camposportuanum is a blast. So like I want to love the plant, but I don't know if I'm loving it as much as I thought I would, but that's okay. Next, I spent $14.97 on herb seeds, and I included this even though it's like kind of a garden thing because I had these big plans to create a little herb garden in my kitchen, and it still hasn't happened. So I'm gonna count that as an indoor planty purchase because it was something I was planning on doing indoors, and I'll get around to it at some point, but I got an air fryer for Christmas and now it's taking up the spot where I was going to put the herb garden. So I don't know if I'm going to find a new spot for the herb garden or rearrange the herb garden or get a new spot for the air fryer or what, but one day I'll get around to it. Then I spent $5 on more terracotta pots. And then I spent $20 on this Philodendron Florida Ghost from the Trendy Gardener, and I spent $30 on a Philodendron Melanochrysum. Both are doing fantastic. Absolutely love them. Those were great prices. And now the Trendy Gardener has a brick and mortar store that I have not yet been to, so I'm hoping to go there soon and film a full plant shopping video there. And that's it for September. So that puts us at $76.74 for plants for September and $63.78 for planty items. So I actually spent more on plants this month than I did on planty items, which is kind of uncommon. I've been spending more on things for my plants than I have been plants, which is probably healthy, but kind of painful. And so the total for September is $140.52. And then this October was my cheapest month. I didn't buy a single plant thing at all. Nothing. I didn't buy a plant. I didn't buy any planty items. Absolutely nothing. So I guess October was a good month for my wallet. Inflation this year has been really, really bad. And so I definitely tried to curb my spending, budgeted less in the plant category each month. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. But yeah, October, 0 for our total. And then in November, I only bought 2 pots. That's it, from the same place. There's a little store in Pella, Iowa that has super, super cute plant pots. So this was one of them, and it has a matching tray that's this color. And this was the second pot that I bought, which look how cute this is. This one doesn't have a drainage hole. I'll probably put one in it at some point, which is kind of annoying, I gotta say, but it's a very cute pot. And the total on both of those was $32, which means the total for November was $32 because that's all I bought. And then in December, I just went plant shopping more than I did the past couple months. So we spent a little more in December. The first plants that I bought was a poinsettia plant. I bought this like a week and a half or 2 weeks before Christmas. So I think it was like, I don't know how much it was, but it was super cheap. And then I also bought this Thanksgiving cactus, and these are all from Ted Lair Garden Center. And this one is variegated, and it wasn't labeled variegated, so it was a sneaky little find. And I think it was like $3.50 or something. So I was very, very excited about this one. It was flowering when I got it too, so that was great. And yeah, just a fantastic find generally. And I put the total for both of those plants as $14.75, which doesn't make a lot of sense because I swear this one was like $3 and the poinsettia was like $5, but that's fine. If we're overestimating, which there shouldn't be any estimating, I was very diligent about tracking these, but regardless, if it's a little over what it should be, that's better than it being under, I guess. And then also from Ted Lair, I spent $107 on this beautiful variegated fiddle leaf fig, which were originally priced at $400 over the summer. So this was the steal of the century, even though it was an over $100 plant, and I love it. It has lost a lot of leaves since I purchased it, but she's still kicking, and I will keep this even if it turns into a stick. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it just continues having leaves. I don't know. I'm so scared something's gonna happen to this. And the very last plant I bought in 2022 is this cutie little cactus from Renovation Jungle. I posted my plant shopping video where I picked this up, and you guys were guessing what kind of cactus it is in the comments. So thank you for that, because it just says cactus and I don't know what it is, but it had these cute little white flowers that have since crisped up, which is kind of sad. I think I probably need to water it, I would guess, and maybe that will help, but I couldn't resist the cute little flowers, and then it's still cute and fuzzy even now. So that was a fun little purchase, and it was $18.36. I just realized I skipped one, and this was not a plant, so it's okay that I missed it. So I also purchased plant stands in December. These I bought on Amazon. I spent $48.33 on them, and now I own 3 of these, and they're my favorite plant stands. They slide around really nicely on my floors. They're super well constructed. They match everything in my house, and they add a lot of height, which I really, really love. And if I continue getting big plants, I'll probably just keep buying this exact plant stand. I really, really like them. And yeah, $48.33. So that was the only planty item that I purchased in December. So that's my total for planty item as well. My total for plants was about $140.11. So my total cost for December was $188.44, which is a big uptick from the last couple of months of spending, but not terrible in comparison to some of the past months. All right, the moment of truth. It is, actually, let's wait. Before I tell you guys what the total for the year was, I do have some really cool graphs that I either made or I got from EveryDollar that I kind of want to show you. So this first one that I've been showing you kind of throughout the video shows all of my total spend throughout the year. I think it looks really cool. If you got rid of November and December, you would see such a downward trend in my plant spending throughout the year, which is kind of fun to see. I do really think that that is due to inflation and just like being very conscious of how much I'm spending on in every category throughout the year, and then loosening up a little bit in November and December. And also in November and December, I just had a little bit more time because of grad school, kind of slowed down a little bit. I got a new job, so I wasn't spending a ton of time interviewing and preparing for interviews. So that was also helpful that I had more time to be like, I want to buy some plants. But anyway, I just think that's really fun to look at. And you can see that my biggest spending month was definitely March. This graph is also really cool. You can track my plant purchases versus planty items. And so you can see that the majority of the time, I spent more on planty items than I did on actual plants, which again, like I said, I think is a healthy habit to have. Like you need to be, if you're if you buy a lot of plants, if you're a plant collector, you should really be taking care of those plants as best as you can. And so it's probably more healthy to be spending money on pots and dirt and things to take care of them than it is to just constantly be bringing new plants in. So I'm okay with this for sure, but it is really painful to constantly be buying pots, excuse me. It's not painful to buy plants, so that's fun, but to constantly be buying pots definitely hurts a little bit. Like if you spend $40 on a pot, that's $40 that could be a $40 plant, or something else. So I'm hoping in 2023 I can either continue buying more terracotta pots because they are cheaper, or hopefully have a little bit more time to buy more secondhand as well, because that is definitely good for the environment, fun to do, and cheaper a lot of the times. Sometimes thrift stores are kind of expensive. And then this last graph is one that I pulled directly from EveryDollar that you have to either pay for or get the free trial for. I did the free trial, but it shows all of my spending for the past 12 months. Unfortunately, there isn't a way for me to hard choose the range that I want. And so since I'm filming this in the new year in 2023, it is not showing me January 2021. And so it's showing the past 12 months. So it's including January 2023, and I haven't bought anything, which is going to bring the average down. I'm going to calculate the average that I spent each month on plants, planty items, and the full category, so I can give you a better number than what EveryDollar is giving me. One moment. So per month, the average that I spend on planty items is $85.55. That's a really good number to have in terms of budgeting for next year, just knowing that that's on average about what I spend every month. Granted, I'm not super consistent, so there were some months that I spent $0 and there were other months that I spent over $100. So it just kind of depends, but it's really good to know budgeting wise that that's about what I spend each month in that particular category. When it comes to plants, on average, I spend around $66 a month on bringing in new plants into my home, which is not bad. This is one of my most involved and definitely my most expensive hobby, so I'm fine with that, honestly. And then taking both of those categories and putting it into one, the average amount that I spend on plants and planty items, which is generally how I budget every month, is just one plant category that encapsulates everything, is $147, which is really cool because oftentimes when I budget every month, I will set aside around $150 for plants and planty items, which is exactly around what my average is. So I think that's really, really cool. This is the first year that I've ever budgeted by category and spent a ton of time doing that. So I'm pretty pumped that I kind of hit what my goal was. Yeah, I'm super happy with our numbers so far. Let's see what our totals are. So we'll talk about our planty items first. My total for planty items was $1,026.60 total spent. And then on plants specifically, I spent $735.99, which brings my total for the year on how much I spent on plants generally in 2022 is $1,762.59. So that's definitely a good chunk of cash. That is a decent vacation. That is money that could go towards a new driveway, a new kitchen remodel, a new car, etc. However, like I said, this is my biggest hobby, definitely my most expensive hobby that I have, and it could be a lot worse. I've watched these YouTube videos and I've seen some big numbers. So all things considered, I'm pretty happy with that for my personal situation, but everyone's different. You don't need to spend this much on plants to be a part of the plant community to collect houseplants, but I really just wanted to calculate all of my totals as a little check-in for myself to really understand exactly where all of my money was going in 2022. Like I said, I did budgeting for every single category. I know everything that I purchased in 2022, and this is obviously not a finance YouTube channel, but I would highly recommend anyone do that because it definitely brought to light things I was spending money on that I wasn't really using. When you have to type in manually every single month that you're spending $10 on a subscription and you're thinking, when was the last time I used this subscription, you're probably going to cancel it. Whereas if you're not manually, consciously thinking about it, it's really easy for that stuff to slide under the rug. So if you got anything from this video, I guess it was to start a budget. But anyway, I love watching these year-end, like how much I spent on something. I think it's so interesting. So I really hope you enjoyed watching it too. My inspiration for this was really watching other people do this last year. It was so much fun. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to subscribe. Comment below how much you spent on plants this year if you want to, or maybe don't. If you want to keep that private, that's totally fine. It is a little nerve-wracking to put this kind of thing on the internet, so I appreciate your kindness in the comments. I hope you are all nice, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Happy New Year!